where we need to care about family. We need to care about country. We need to care about merit. We need to care about capitalism and gratitude and things like that.
At first, I was sharing a lot of the like COVID related videos.
Like what?
Like people singing how excited they are to get vaccinated. Literally while people are losing their jobs for refusing the vaccine. People praising, Lord Fauci. They were like idolizing him. So they would have like.
There's so few people, maybe nobody in this world, that I would say that I hate. Besides Fauci. The disdain I have for this man and the degree to which people are willing to exalt him, maybe not so much anymore. It continues to blow my mind. And yeah, that was my media talking about the dancing nurses. Now, when I saw that, I personally, didn't have the hugest problem with it in a vacuum. But then, a lot of people were like, what are they doing? There's people dying, so on and so forth. And I kind of got, this mentality that, they are the ones that are in the hospitals. They are the ones who are, dealing with all this stuff. And if they need something to kind of, break the tension and make it a little nicer and fun, then I don't see the big deal with that. But then you saw a lot more of it, and it became a trend. And it wasn't just a thing for the nurses; it was for everybody else. And so that's where the real problem is. Like, there's people dying right next to you. I can't get in to see my dying mother, and you're doing TikToks. Not the best move. Not the best move.
Candles of Fauci and like cutouts in their homes. And
are you kidding me?
And like Fauci embroidered pillows. Like, it's a serious cult. It was a Fauci cult. I don't know if you remember.
People with embroidered pillows.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
That's next level.
There was one, someone named their pet dog.
Like a nightmare.
Their horse, Fauci.
Was that horse one that like trampled on all of the other horses and like stampeded them to death, or was it just like a normal innocent horse?
That is running the show. That is what we need. All right. Starting off on a good foot.
Surprise.
Yeah.
I wonder what the name is now after, we're realizing that Fauci lied a lot.
Maybe they're locking up that horse. Yeah, should be.
Yeah, that horse is just going by Tony these days.
So anyway, so you basically were frustrated by a couple years of being told to shut up, sit down, do as you're told, locked in your home. You said you had a family?
Yeah.
Family? You're married?
No, I'm not married.
Okay.
I'm one of 8 siblings.
So you were with your siblings and your parents
a couple
during
of them.
This period.
Yeah.
And before they, really get into it, obviously, I'm assuming that you guys are familiar with Libs of TikTok. Put a 1 in the chat if you do not know Libs of TikTok, and we can definitely take a detour there. But I'm assuming most of you are familiar. And the idea that, her, not her channel, she started on Twitter, so her profile blew up. And it's because we were all kind of learning at the same time what she was learning. She just happened to be the one to start the page and start posting the stuff.
And that frustrated the heck out of you. And you decided you want to speak up.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you opened up a TikTok account and started posting other people's videos. They're not even videos you made necessarily.
Right.
And they just started taking off.
It started exploding. I mean,
why did you call it Libs of TikTok?
I have
no
idea.
Literally, yeah.
It literally just came to me.
It's such a sticky and catchy name.
I know.
So you just said Libs of TikTok. It's just like
yeah. It just came to me.
Because
so a little bit of a lackluster answer, but it is what it is. But good question.
People talk about owning the libs, and otherwise, it wasn't even.
I was like, look, these are all libs who are making these videos, and they're it's like videos on TikTok, so it's just like Libs of TikTok.
Okay.
And it was just so catchy.
Videos of liberals on TikTok was your whole account theme.
Yeah. I didn't spend $10 million in brand marketing and nothing. No think tanks, just
word of mouth. Word of mouth. That is how these things grow. So I'm going to ask you guys a huge favor, and please share this with someone you want to party with. Just take the URL and plaster it everywhere. There's a share button. It's so easy. It's one click and it helps out. So so much. I also want to thank you guys who have subscribed recently. I know I ask a lot for subscriptions, but you guys have been doing that, and I really appreciate that. It does help. Thank you so much.
Decision on Libs of TikTok.
Okay. And then these things just started taking off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it was very entertaining. It was also very enlightening because I think a lot of people felt the same way I did. And then they were able to really resonate with the content. But what actually got Libs of TikTok, known nationally was when I started posting the other types of content. So I started veering away from the COVID stuff. COVID was basically ending in a lot of states.
Yeah, I didn't really see much of. I'd heard about Libs of TikTok, but I didn't really understand. Maybe I didn't see myself, or I didn't understand. Like now we hear Libs of TikTok, and we know, oh, crazy woke trans stuff. That's how I found it, and it was definitely it was definitely the trans stuff as opposed to the woke stuff. I definitely saw, or excuse me, the COVID stuff. I saw that stuff, but I didn't really catch on to like, oh, this is a thing.
I also was spending a lot of time on TikTok, and I came across this whole cultural phenomenon of activists who are just LGBTQ activists, teachers, people in the medical industry, doctors, all these types of influencers. And they were basically, it appeared to me that they were pushing this sexualized agenda onto kids. So I started sharing that type of content, and that's when it really exploded.
And what about, I mean, like, you explained what sort of moved you. It was very first personal on the COVID restrictions.
Good question.
What gave you the motivation to then take this set of issues on?
I think it was just, so I don't have any of my own kids yet. And I also never went to public school. So I think for me, it was less personal and more just the shock factor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is all this happening? And nobody's talking about it.
Yep.
This was before, we're going back 2 years. So
I mean, people were talking about it, but it was such the people who were talking about it were, adding a lot of commentary, and it was very controversial. And so the people who knew about it. But what she did by just not adding any commentary, not adding any editorialization, just being like, look, that is what I think allowed her to or at least her page to get a lot more popular, because there was no like barrier saying that this person is this bias, or she's saying that because of this. It's just like, no, these are like, this is y'all.
Before everybody started tackling these issues, nobody's talking about it. I'm like, do people even know this is happening? Like, I wonder if people are just unaware. And I was like, this is absolutely insane. This is crazy. This is dangerous. And I just knew that I had to start sharing it to show people.
And, from what I've seen in our schools in terms of the sort of cultural indoctrination, there's a couple strands to it. Is one are the vestiges of critical race theory, of being able to teach young kids that they're oppressed based on the color of their skin, based on their genetics, that whole strand. Then there's the version of that bleeds over into some of those genetic factors are sexual in nature, whether you're gay or not. And then you go into the modern trans thing, which is a whole nother fixation altogether, that then just started getting into outright sexual content that they're foisting onto kids at an inappropriately young age.
Yep. And we can already see, remember, the point of all of this is not just, hey, what are they talking about? I want to see, how does Vivek run the show? How does he run the show? So he clearly is not super familiar with Libs of TikTok, because he's asking the types of questions like, oh, you started on TikTok, which is obviously it's fine, but those are the types of questions that you do want to ask. And when you are able to drive a conversation a little bit better, then it's going to be more enjoyable.
Which of those were you kind of focused on the full spectrum, or more on the LGBT stuff and less on the race stuff?
So it is more in the LGBTQ stuff, but it's everything. So it's basically anything any insane wokeness happening, not just in schools, but in hospitals, in institutions and companies, anything that is basically affecting our culture that I think needs to be called out.
Yeah. And so that just started getting under your skin a little bit. And again, you're
a little bit, like a lot of it.
You're posting just videos that are already out there. So sort of like a news service in a certain way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you became a news service.
Yeah, I view myself as a journalist.
And how do you
And better than most of the ones we have out there. Better than most of the ones we have out there, because as much as editorialization has become kind of the norm for how news is told, that isn't the best way for things to permeate, as we can see through her profile.
how did you get that content?
By
what was your sourcing mechanism?
They just put it out there, bro. They just put it out there. You don't have to go seek and find it. They are specifically trying to show it to everybody.
Hours a day on TikTok.
Yourself?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
On TikTok?
On TikTok.
And so the content you're getting, is it generally other people who are similarly upset about it and putting it on TikTok? Or was it in some cases people who are boasting about it?
So this is what I mean, that if you don't know, like you have the libs of TikTok woman across from you. So you can pretend that you know what's going on, or you can be a little bit more humble. I mean, hey, I don't know what's going on. Why don't you tell me? I'm liking it. I'm liking it so far.
And putting it on TikTok.
Mainly people boasting about it.
Mainly people boasting about it. That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things that I've noticed happening in this debate, and I think that's maybe what makes your case pretty interesting, like I kind of want to get into this, is the dynamic, and you might have seen this, right? I'm more in the political world now than you are, but the dynamic is if, someone on, broadly speaking, the right is talking about critical race theory, or in a technical sense, the vestiges of critical race theory in schools, or talking about the trans indoctrination in schools, the response from much of the center left is they're uncomfortable with it too, but they don't want to admit that because they've got a political label that says they're on the left or they're Democrats. So their other move is, instead of,
I mean, he's spot on. He's spot on that the silent majority is not comfortable with this stuff. But we have to play the team, and we're supposed to be in favor of this stuff, right? Yeah, no, it's totally fine. Yeah, I like it. We let's bring a drag queen in here. When really they're like, hell no.
Oh, hell no.
Comfortable with it too, but they don't want to admit that because they've got a political label that says they're on the left or they're Democrats. So their other move is, instead of taking that concern seriously and saying this is crazy and we shouldn't be doing this, is to say, look at these crazy people on the right making up something that doesn't actually exist. So we have a manufactured hysteria, a manufactured outrage. That's the term they usually use, is a fake outrage, manufactured outrage. And then that becomes the whole MSNBC talk track, is don't talk about the underlying issue. Instead, talk about how it's a projection of something artificial that's made up.
That's the easy way out, because if you actually try to address what's going on, then you're going to lose that battle. Because whether or not trans people have existed and two-spirit this, the fact of putting books like Genderqueer, The Bluest Eye, Just the Tip, ABCs, all these books that we keep a list of so that we know, hey, this is really happening. Look up this book, look up that book, look up that book. That's where all of it is leading to. And the problem is that the normies, the people that Vivek is talking about, the more default liberals who are not rah gay, rah trans, but are just going by the party lines, they feel like they're fitting in with the crowd. They feel like they're doing the right thing by just by capitulating to what they think they're supposed to say. This is exactly what Peter Boghossian was saying when I had him on, and we were talking about his street epistemology, where, similar to like the Jubilee Middle Ground, he has a prompt, and then he has like everybody starts on neutral, and then you can go to slightly agree or disagree, or strongly agree or disagree. And how often people were going to where they were the line that they think they're supposed to be on, as opposed to what they actually think, is standard for that kind of thing. And it's sad. Melts My Media said the silent majority is becoming louder, but is it too late? Is it too late? Good question. I say no, it is not too late. I was being questioned on the values that I have, the values that I'm trying to espouse and push on everybody, saying we need American values that are very similar and overlap greatly with Christian values, Judeo-Christian values. There's a lot, but there's a lot of other stuff in there too, where we need to care about family, we need to care about country, we need to care about merit, we need to care about capitalism and gratitude and things like that. If we can all coalesce around those things, then we don't need a hard and fast religion for those of us who, despite trying, cannot believe in the truth claims that are made. We need to have that American culture, that American identity that is strong enough. And I think it's growing. I think it's growing. And I think that the silent majority are desperate for somebody like Vivek, somebody like me, to come out and say, hey, it's okay to disagree with this stuff. You don't have to be a Christian in order to be a good person. You just have to care about these things, and we're all on the same team. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that clip, check out the full live stream link in the bio and catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you there.